LeGarrette Blount back with me in the PNC Bank Sports Corner. LG, let's talk some NFC football. We have the Eagles, then there's 49ers, and it seems like everyone else in that conference. My holdup with San Francisco is Jimmy G. Defense is elite, skill guys are great, offensive line is physical, but if they needed him to piece together a game-winning drive, I don't see that happening. Same could have been said about Nick Foles once he took over for Carson Wentz when you were with the Eagles in 2017. Now, Jimmy G has been the guy in that building. How does the team really rally and believe in him, a serviceable backup, to take him to the Super Bowl? Because that's the expectations in San Francisco.
Well, I mean, I don't think that they have to rally behind him and believe in him, considering the fact that he was their starting quarterback that took them to the Super Bowl in, 2017 or, something like that, or 16 or 17. He took them there. He took them to the Super Bowl, and I don't think Jimmy get the respect that he deserves, and he gets put in the category of the Nick Foles and the Kirk Cousins and stuff, of the guys that can manage a game but not win a game. I do think Jimmy can win a game. I do think he can put together a game-winning drive. Now, have they put him in the position to do that often? Nah, because they usually play ahead, or it's back and forth, or whatever the case may be. And on top of that, man, you don't have to have Jimmy be that guy. You got Debo, you got Brandon Ayuk, you got Wilson, you got Kittle, you got all of these weapons on the offense that you don't have to throw the ball to. You can run speed sweeps. You could put Debo at quarterback. You can put him at running back. So Jimmy G isn't the driving force of that offense. I'm gonna just say that it's Debo. Debo is the driving force of that offense, and Jimmy don't have to go throw for 300. Jimmy don't have to go throw. You can throw for 180, 200, and have Debo with 6 carries, the other running back with 18, and so it's different forms and ways to win the game without having to fully put it on Jimmy's back. But if they did, I'm confident that he can get it done. Nick Foles is another guy that you mentioned he's a back and forth guy. In the Super Bowl, he didn't have to do a game-winning drive, but he had to go and perform under the pressure on a 4th down, Philly special. If he dropped that ball, it's over. I mean, it's not over, but we're having a different conversation. We're definitely having a different conversation if he drops that pass. So just performing under pressure, I think Jimmy has that. I think Nick has that. Those guys have that, but they just haven't been in a position to where they have to do it.
Yeah, Jimmy G certainly a throwaway from almost beating Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Over his last 5 games, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception, 72% of his passes he's completed. Now, let's go who is the 2 seed in the NFC. I left them out in my opening. We saw what the Vikings did against New England, and what was a dogfight until the 4th quarter. Then they had the Belichick approach, it seemed like. Wait for your opponent to make a mistake and capitalize. Are you a believer in Kirk Cousins and this Minnesota team as legit contenders to come out of the NFC?
I believe in Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook. I believe in those guys. But I like Kirk. I think Kirk is a game manager. I think people hate. People hate on that label, on that tag. There's nothing wrong with being a game manager. Don't you think Ryan Leaf wish he would have been able to become a game manager? You know what I'm saying? That's not bad. That just means that you're the quarterback that's not going to throw a pick when the game matters the most. You're not going to fumble the ball when the game matters the most. You're going to take a sack or throw the ball away opposed to any bad plays when it comes to the game being on the line. That's all it means. It don't mean that, it don't mean that you can't go out there and in the last minute and 30 seconds of a game and you're down by 5. It don't mean that you can't go out there and leave a game, do a game-winning drive. It just means that you're not going to put us in a position to where we have to go do that. That's all the game manager means as a quarterback. That's all it means. And so I think Cousins is the perfect mold for that. He's the perfect mold for that. They surround him by Justin Jefferson, arguably the best receiver in the game. Dalvin Cook, one of the best all-around backs in the game. I mean, and Thielen, even though he's a little older, he's still a reliable target. He just like Randall Cobb is for Rodgers. So Thielen is just a reliable target as well. these guys have put it together. Their defense is top notch. Everson Griffin and Daniil Hunter and freaking Pat P and Harrison back. I mean, the list goes on, man. And they're one of the most solid teams in the NFC, and I think they're probably going to give the Eagles and the Niners probably the most trouble when it comes to like a playoff run.
And if they get home field, at least up until the NFC Championship game, man, US Bank Stadium is one of the toughest places to play. But you mentioned it. I want to go to the Eagles. That's your other team. You won a Super Bowl with them. They're built for cold weather football. They have the depth. Jalen Hurts and Jason Kelce in that offense have been elite. I'm tired of it's whoever finishes as runner-ups to the Chiefs. Take me to that franchise, into that stadium, into the building. Where do the Eagles have the secret sauce to make a championship happen this season?
They have the secret sauce and the support that they have inside the building. The coaches, the GM, the owners, the people that cook the food, the groundkeepers, everybody over there feels that energy. They buy into that energy, so all that is just honed in on the team. So these guys are going out there and having a blast while beating ass. Like, they're having fun doing it. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, like, everybody has fun after they win, but you can see these guys having fun in the game, smiling, laughing. Hey man, we're doing something right. And the crazy thing is, they have yet, in my knowledge, from what I've seen, they've yet to put together a full, solid game where it's like, hey, we win on the offense side, we win on the defense side, we win on special teams. But they done beat the crap out of some teams without putting that kind of game together. So just think about them getting better. Because Kelce not going to let them stop grinding. I can promise you that. Kelce will not let them stop grinding. He sees what it can be. He's been a part of what it can be and what it looks like when you have a season this special. It doesn't come around often. So he's going to do everything he can in his power to make sure this keeps going. I mean, for crying out loud, my guy just won a game ball. First time in his career. I don't know how many times that he's deserved to get those, but he got one finally, and these guys are having fun, man, and they'll gravitate towards whatever the fans and media put out there, just like we did the underdog thing. We brought out the underdog mask and all that stuff, and now these guys are bringing out with a team full of Batmans, no Robins. Now they got the Batman mask. This is really, really, really familiar to me. Like, this gives off an extremely similar feeling to what it did when we won it back then.
Yeah, you mentioned Jason Kelce getting that game ball. After the game, him and Jalen Hurts had a moment. Jalen's a young guy in this league. He's still coming into his own, but he's playing like an MVP. How important is it, though, to have, especially from your perspective as a running back, a guy that leads the offensive line, to have a center like that where the whole team loves him and he's truly a leader of this team?
That is extremely important. You don't have that all the way across the board. I'm going to tell you now, I've been a part of some teams where you do not have that. Kelce calls out the Mike backer, the protection that he thinks is going to work. So, he's a jack of all trades, hands down, probably. I'm not going to say probably. He's the best center in the NFL. He's hands down the best center in the NFL. He plays every snap. He's durable. He knows what he's doing. None of his energy or his love for the game is fake. You can get some guys that come out and be like, man, come on, guys, let's go. And you can feel like, okay, bro, like, I know you don't really need that, versus him, saying it and coming. You can tell, you can feel it, so that makes him really, really special. Having somebody like that, knowing what they're doing and knowing that if it's somebody beside him on the left or right that might be a little hesitant or don't know, he can, hey, this is what you got. And I know he'll do that, so having that guys and for obviously for Hurts, that's a huge advantage. All he got to worry about is throwing that rock and handing off that rock and making reads, and Kelce does the rest.
True leader up front for the Eagles, and their defense certainly helps as well. Third in sacks, +3 differential in turnovers. That leads the NFL, and just second in yards allowed as well. Eagles are elite. We'll see how the NFC shakes out. LG, thanks for joining me, man.
I appreciate it, George. Always a pleasure, my guy.